Episode 76. Things We Cannot Say. The efforts put in by everyone to get the company back on its feet have been commendable. We had really plunged so deep down that I wondered at a point of time if we can pull through and save the company from going bankrupt. But our collective efforts and our determination to focus on clinching the Holiday Homes Limited dream project finally showed results. As I had committed at the time of getting this contract that every single employee will get a portion of the profits, the time has come to materialize it now. The financial details of the distribution of profits will be given by Amrit. There was a loud cheer and instantaneous applause all around the hall, forcing Prateek to stop speaking for a minute. But friends, I'm not done as yet. There are a few among you who, I must say in all honesty, have put in longer hours, worked harder, and burnt the midnight oil non-stop for 2 years. For them, the board has a special surprise, a special gift. The chosen 6 amongst you will get a 7-day fully paid trip to Europe. The applause died down, and Prateek could see eager and expectant faces looking up at him. Each one began to mentally calculate if he or she had put in more hours than the others for the Holiday Homes Limited project. After a few seconds, somehow it struck everyone who the 6 chosen would be. Shivendra, Jitesh, Mosmi, Vipasha, Arav, and of course, Shreya. For 2 years, Shreya had not taken a single Sunday off from work. As soon as Amrit announced the 6 names, there were joyous hugs and clapping all around. Prateek's sea-facing office on the 23rd floor resembled a class of kindergartners who had been told that tomorrow will be a picnic day. An excited chattering broke out on probable dates, places to visit, places to shop, clothes to be carried, and so many more things. But Shreya just smiled at everyone. She did not join in the burst of clapping and high fives. She just limped to the nearest chair and sat down. Prateek generally never accompanied his HR team to top-rated management schools for recruitment. But the prestigious project for the Australian embassy had to be executed, and Prateek wanted the best team for it. He flew down to Ahmedabad with the HR team to personally scrutinize the candidates. On the flight, he studied the dossier of the probable candidates and found one Shreya Pandit to be the best candidate. But strangely, 3 companies had rejected her. The reason to do so was even stranger. Shreya had a limp in her left leg. Her left leg was in fact amputated from knee downwards. She wore an artificial leg, and it did hinder brisk movement. The companies feared that she wouldn't really agree to travel outside Mumbai. Prateek found this reason very unfair to not hire a worthy candidate. He personally interviewed Shreya and hired her immediately. He could discern a hint of tears welling up in Shreya's eyes as she left the interview room. Prateek made special arrangements for Shreya in the office. A separate washroom, special chair, and even the use of the elevator on priority basis. She had a special table allotted in the cafeteria too. Shreya reciprocated by giving everything she had to the company. Shreya's inputs were both practical and very innovative. Within a year, the projects almost doubled up. Priority builders could now boast of 2 overseas contracts as well. Shreya's tough negotiating skills, Her eye for detail and her power of observation could always tilt the balance in favor of Prateek's company, Priority Builders. And then the pandemic hit the world. The Australian Embassy project was stalled, as were many other projects. The company couldn't conduct any business for a full 1 year. Finances were majorly depleted. Prateek had to resort to downsizing. But still, the company stood at the brink of bankruptcy. Then the project of Holiday Homes Limited was announced. A desperate Prateek wanted it badly to survive. Shreya negotiated and grabbed the contract. But for completing a project in 2 years, which ideally would take 4, the entire office began to work in double shifts. Shreya? Shreya? Where are you lost? Shreya looked up at Prateek and didn't react at all. The moment Prateek and Ruma stepped in the flat, they smelled the disinfectant. There was no dining table in the dining space. No family photographs adorned the walls, just a couple of watercolors, probably done by Shreya as a school kid. But on the wall next to the main door hung a huge framed photograph of a young lady who must have been in her late 30s, smiling at anyone who dared to look up. The walls definitely needed a coat of paint. Prateek and Ruma followed Shreya to the room inside. It was a full hospital. On a bed lay a comatose old man who looked to be about 45. There was a monitoring machine attached to his oxygen mask. His skin was patchy, wrinkled, and had even begun to peel off from certain places. His lips were cracked, and his face was misshapen. The sparse hair was grey, but not totally white. It took a while for Prateek and Ruma to realize that the man on the bed was actually alive. The machines were keeping him alive. A male nurse was attending to his bed sores. I was 8, sir, and Bhaiya was 12. Our new car was blue in color. We went for a drive to Chowpatty, had our pav bhaji and kulfi. Late night, when we were returning back, a totally drunk man hit us from behind. After hitting us once, he backed his car and hit us again. That was the fatal blow, as our car hit the sea-link bridge wall on the left. Ma was declared brought dead. Bhaiya had a head injury and slipped into coma. My left leg was crushed so badly that the doctors had to amputate it from the knee downwards. Only Dad escaped unhurt. He did everything in his power to find the culprit, but to this date we have not been able to find him. We only knew that the drunk driver was in a white car. Shreya? Hare, wake up yaar! Kahan kho gayi ho? Shreya was once again jolted back. She saw that the entire office was looking at her with a puzzled expression. Shreya, you don't have to worry about Papa or Bhaiya. I have arranged extra help from the home care agencies. So just don't worry and enjoy your trip to Europe. Prateek saw the same hint of tears welling up in Shreya's eyes, which he had witnessed 6 years ago when he had recruited Shreya. He also understood that there was a lot she wanted to say, but couldn't bring herself to speak. Prateek gently patted her shoulder. It was the night when Prateek had discovered Ruma hanging out with Shirish. He had some idea about their affair, but tonight he had caught them red-handed. Prateek had married Ruma so that one day he would take the reins of Priority Builders in his hands. But he was not really prepared for this. Prateek had got heavily drunk that evening. He had never felt so trapped, so used, and so caged in his life. A tormented mind generally puts a heavy foot on the pedal, and that's exactly what Prateek did. Prateek's blurred vision could make out a blue car ahead, driving at a very slow pace. When he hit the blue car, the impact was quite loud and strong. In sheer desperation, Prateek decided to pull back and drive away. But in his panic, he hit the car again. He saw a young lady getting crushed against the wall of the bridge. Prateek fled from there. The newspapers carried pictures of the accident and the details of the dead and injured. Prateek had kept this incident wrapped up in the innermost labyrinths of his heart. With great trouble, he had disposed of the car in Goa. As the years rolled by, Prateek thought that he had put the incident behind. He had always imagined that only at the gates of heaven he will be questioned, kicked, and punished by the dead lady. Until he met Shreya.